kill me.
Hello everyone, Martial Arts Film Freak here, and this is Kung Fu Essential, the series for Kung Fu fans new and old to help dive further into the genre of Kung Fu cinema. It is here that we will take a big name in the world of Kung Fu and select 5 films that are essential for fans to discover. This week we are looking at 5 films in the career of one of Kung Fu's greatest heroes. This is Kung Fu Essential, Sammo Hung.
Perfect.
Before we can dive into his films, we need to talk about the backstory. Sammo Hung was born in British Hong Kong on January 7th, 1952. Unlike the topics of the first 3 Kung Fu Essential videos, Sammo Hung is Kung Fu cinema royalty. Sammo's grandmother is Chin Siang, a Kung Fu actress who made around 80 films from 1941 to 2002. She is the archetypal Kung Fu heroine carried on by people like Chang Pei, Angela Mao, and Michelle Yeoh. And she's not the only one in his family who worked in the film industry. You also had his grandfather who directed many films throughout his lifetime, and his parents were both wardrobe stylists in the Hong Kong film industry. Yet, despite having so many familial connections to the Hong Kong industry, Sammo Hung did not get in through nepotism. As acting legal guardian, Sammo Hung's grandparents enrolled him into the China Drama Academy. Check out the episode on Jackie Chan right up here for more information on what the China Drama Academy is. Over the next 7 years, Sammo would be joined at the China Drama Academy by the likes of Jackie Chan, Yuan Biao, Corey Yuen, Yuan Hua, and so many more, and many of them would go on to form the 7 Little Fortunes. Into the 60s, and Sammo was selected by one of his teachers to take part in a film called Education of Love. This led to the then child actor taking on more roles and apparently sharing some of his earnings with many of his younger school brothers. Over the handful of years of hanging around film sets, a young Sammo Hung became extremely interested in the behind-the-scenes goings-ons of filmmaking. At age 14, Sammo Hung began working at Shaw Brothers Studios as a director's assistant, and over the next several years and 30 films, worked his way up from extra to stuntman to stunt coordinator. He continued this path into his partnership with Raymond Chow in Golden Harvest and started taking some smaller roles before starring alongside Angela Mao in 1972's Hapkido. He of course featured in that legendary opening fight sequence against Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. He would appear and choreograph around 20 films over the next few years, including 1975's Man from Hong Kong. He would play the villain in Shaolin Plot, and in that same year make his directorial debut in his co-starring vehicle, The Iron-Fisted Monk. Not a great movie, but Jesus Christ, that final fight sequence is beautiful. In 1978, he would make an appearance fighting fellow Enter the Dragon alum Bob Wall in the, let's say, controversial Game of Death. And in that same year, he would return to the director's chair and star in Enter the Fat Dragon, just before directing and co-starring in our first essential film. That's right, we are well over 20 movies in, and we are just now getting to an essential film. That's not saying that all these movies are bad, that's saying that this man has put in work. But let's get to our first essential film, 1978's Warriors 2. Warriors 2 sees Sammo Hung directing himself and Casanova Wong taking on Lam Ching-ying, Dean Shek, Hoi Sang-lee, Hark On-fung, and more in a story of two men learning Wing Chun to stop a nefarious businessman from taking over the town. To be honest, this movie nearly did not make the list. I had 4 solid picks, and the last one I couldn't decide if I wanted it to be an earlier Sammo Hung movie or a more far later, newer Sammo Hung movie. It was a very difficult decision. The man's got a lot of very good movies. But after rewatching Warriors 2, it was just too obvious, too clear that this may be the perfect first film, the perfect introduction for anybody getting in to Sammo Hung. The film is littered with his perfect brand of humor, with Dean Shek and himself handling much of the comedy. When the film isn't being textbook kung fu goofy, it is kicking ass in awesome training sequences, and a finale that holds up to the best Jackie Chan or anyone has to offer. This move here, I'm going to show you this move, right? Something about this move. I love it. Casanova Wong shines as the star with some of the cleanest kicks you will ever see. Coming from a Peking opera school background and working his way through the traditional 60s and 70s, it would be easy for Sammo Hung to just make a textbook sort of Peking opera style kung fu movie, but you could see the ways he's slowly morphing, slowly evolving into his more fast-paced modern style, but still honoring the Peking opera style school style. Warriors 2 features incredible weapons work, from swords to staffs to spears. Sammo Hung is recognized for his on-screen performance, his comedy, his fighting, his choreography, and his directing. And Warriors 2 may be the first film where all of those elements came together in a perfect ball of fun for anybody to enjoy. Over the next 2 years, Sammo's star power grew in films like Dirty Tiger, Crazy Frog. And he continued to direct with Knockabout, a film starring his opera school brother, Yuan Biao, helping him launch himself being Yuan Biao, to movie star status just as well. In 1979, he starred in the excellent Odd Couple alongside Lau Kar-wing, a film featuring just some of the best sword and spear fight scenes I have ever seen. They are glorious. And that was followed by our second essential film, The Magnificent Butcher. The Magnificent Butcher was directed by Yuen Wu-ping and stars Sammo Hung, Yuan Biao, Hoi Sang-lee, Ta King-kwan, Hark On-fung, and Lam Ching-ying. The story has Sammo Hung playing real-life martial artist Lam Sai-wing, student of folk hero Wong Fei-hung, who is played in this film by Ta King-kwan. I don't know if I included him earlier. I did. Ta King-kwan, yes. An actor who has played the role of Wong Fei-hung, or did play the role of Wong Fei-hung for, I believe, about 4 decades. Lam Sai-wing is framed for murder after the son of a local master kills 2 people. And of course, kung fu and vengeance are the only way to solve things. It would make sense to compare Magnificent Butcher to Jackie Chan's 1978 film Drunken Master. A disobedient student seeks revenge and justice with the help and training of a drunk beggar who just so happens to be possibly the greatest kung fu master on earth. Also, the movies are both directed by Yuen Wu-ping. But at the same time, it would be completely unfair to just say that the two are one and the same. If anything, maybe they would make a solid double feature. The Magnificent Butcher is an example of a film solidifying someone as a leading man. Just like Once Upon a Time in China did for Jet Li, and just like, I don't know, Back to the Future did for Michael J. Fox. Random, I know. And just like Jackie Chan, Yuen Wu-ping blended his choreography stylings with the talents and style of Sammo Hung, creating one of the seminal kung fu films of the 1970s. Hoi Sang Lee proves once again to be one of the unsung heroes of the generation of kung fu cinema, clashing with Sammo Hung in a ferocious finale of acrobatics and kung fu that pushes the speed and power of the old school style to its limits. Heading into the 80s, and Sammo Hung stepped up the pace, directing and starring in several of his own films, such as The Victim and the genre-defining kung fu horror Encounters of the Spooky Kind. Yes, I'm sorry, fans of Encounters of the Spooky Kind, I didn't put it on the essential list, but if I were making a video for the essential films of kung fu horror, then yeah, it would definitely be on there. He again directs Yuen Biao in the outstanding Prodigal Son. Through the early 80s, he continues pumping out film after film before teaming up with his Peking Opera School brothers Jackie and Yuen for the first Three Dragons film, Winners and Sinners. And the trio continue their success with Project A, Wheels on Meals, My Lucky Stars, and our third essential Sammo Hung film, Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars was directed by Sammo Hung and stars the Three Dragons, Andy Lau, Richard Norton, Yasuaki Kurata, and all of those comedians that lead the film with Sammo Hung. Twinkle Twinkle is the third film in the Lucky Stars trilogy, starting with Winners and Sinners, continued on with My Lucky Stars, and finishing up sort of with Twinkle Twinkle. I say sort of because there's more Lucky Stars movies, but these are the only three with the Three Dragons in them. And to be honest, Twinkle Twinkle wasn't originally my pick for this video. Of the trilogy, I'd say that My Lucky Stars is my favorite. And if you're doing a Jackie, Sammo, or Yuen essential films, you have to include a Three Dragons film. It is essential. And I was leaning towards My Lucky Stars because as an overall movie, I do enjoy it more, but you just can't watch all three and not think that Sammo shined brightest in the third one, in Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. He flexed his comedy chops possibly greater than almost any movie he ever did, other than maybe Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon coming further down the line. He freaking loves doing comedy more than Jackie Chan, I promise you. And those final fight scenes alongside Richard Norton and Yasuaki Kurata, they are possibly some of the best Sammo Hung fight scenes ever. But don't get me wrong, Twinkle Twinkle leans far more into being a comedy than it does a kung fu film. And that's kind of one reason I feel it's so essential. Kung fu movies are goofy. Sammo Hung may be the goofiest. Yes, he is one of the most badass, one of the most devastating power hitters of all. But Sammo Hung is goofy. Among the heavy doses of comedy, Twinkle Twinkle features incredible fight scenes that emphasize how much Sammo, Jackie, and Yuen helped alter fight choreography into a more modern kickboxing style. Jackie, Yuen, and Andy Lau have a fight scene that the first time I discovered it, I felt like I had struck gold. A young Michelle Yeoh makes a guest appearance, and the finale showcases Sammo Hung's new style as he faces off against two of the best villains the 80s has to offer in Norton and Kurata. Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars is funny, awkward as hell, and a Sammo Hung classic. Sammo continued his 1980s like a crazy person who's never taken a nap. He directed Jackie in Heart of Dragon before making our two films tied for the fourth essential spot. That's right, two movies have tied for number 4, for the fourth spot. I could not decide which one is more essential from any perspective at all. I tried. I know which one I prefer, but I don't know which one I would show somebody. That's a difficult decision. Don't expect this to be a common occurrence, because I don't like doing it. It throws off the whole feng shui. Sammo Hung just made too many good movies, then it makes it really hard to do this. So let's discuss our two joint fourth essential films, 1986's Millionaire's Express and 1987's Eastern Condors. Both of these films were directed by Sammo Hung himself and star himself, Yuen Biao, fighting with and alongside a bevy of the absolute best 80s Hong Kong and Kung Fu cinema had to offer. I mean, oh my god. Lam Ching-ying, Yasuaki Kurata, Dick Wei, Cynthia Rothrock, Yuen Hua, Yukari Oshima, Huang Jiang Li, Billy Chow, Fat Chung, Rosamund Kwan, Huang Lung Wei. The cast of Millionaire's Express alone could fill an Avengers Endgame level team. I mean, seriously, I was watching the movie for the first time in a few years, and as I'm far more well versed in Kung Fu and Hong Kong cinema overall, I just kept pointing people out. Oh my god, you're here? How did you get here? Millionaire's Express is about an army of criminals who plan to raid an entire town, but that's not very easy when so many people in town are either kung fu badasses or just bumbling idiots who have a lot of heart. And Eastern Condors tells the tale of a band of Hong Kong prisoners who are recruited by the U.S. military to go into Vietnam and find and destroy weapons that the U.S. military left there after the war. Because if the U.S. is caught doing it, it may start something, and they can't do that. It's a Suicide Squad situation. People are going to die. Both films actually have a lot in common, with really the only major difference maybe being the tone. You could argue that Eastern Condors is, pretty comedic, but compared to Millionaire's Express, Eastern Condors is frickin' Full Metal Jacket. I was thinking of the other one, Apocalypse Now. Millionaire's Express is goofy. It's goofy. Wow, it's goofy. I do feel that Millionaire's Express struggles to juggle all of its characters. There's a lot of characters, and the ending does feel a bit rushed. Wow, there are incredible combinations of fighters. You have Yasuaki Kurata fighting Richard Norton and Huang Jiang Li thrown in there some way. Yukari Oshima fighting a bunch of henchmen. You have Cynthia Rothrock fighting Sammo Hung in a wonderful fight scene. You have Dick Wei versus Yuen Biao in, oh my god, a fight scene that will melt your freaking brain. It's so good. But they're all kind of short. Every one of those fights, I just wanted to go on for at least another 2 to 3 minutes, It thinks that because it's going to pack all these fight scenes into like a row, it's like, oh, that row fills up our fights, our big finale, but each of those fights is just a small section, and you want them all to be longer. But for as short as they are, again, they are incredible. Eastern Condors manages to handle most of its characters a lot better, but it doesn't have as many to work with, of course. But in doing so, it makes it mean something whenever characters maybe don't make it. And I think this may be the last time I've seen Yuen Wu-ping and Corey Yuen on screen. We all know Yuen Wu-ping as a director and choreographer, and Corey Yuen as a director and choreographer as well. And I can't think of other movies that I've seen them on screen. I mean, yeah, I can think of movies where they were like stuntmen, of course, but, they got to play characters. Sammo and Yuen have maybe never been better together, and their fights against Kurata, Yuen Hua, and Billy Chow are some of the best of their careers. Truthfully, of course, as you can tell from everything I've said, I do prefer Eastern Condors. But frankly, I feel like I would be doing a huge disservice to not include both of these films together. Two absolute classics that have so much in common, yet are so very different. Again, Hung never takes naps. He continued his 1980s with film after film and concluded the decade with the final Three Dragons film, the perfection that is Dragons Forever. He followed that up with Petty Cab Driver, which features a great fight scene between Hung and Lau Kar Lung. He went into the 90s strong with Shanghai, Shanghai, and he directed his wife in She Shoots Straight. And he pulled off some great Bruce Lee action and some Bruce Lee acting in Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon. Pantyhose Hero happened, and he starred alongside Jackie Chan and Andy Lau in Island of Fire. His 90s are a lot like his 80s. He worked his ass off and released 3 to 4 movies a year. That's too many. Sadly, looking through his 90s, there isn't a lot to get excited about, at least for me, in my personal opinion. It seemed that he leaned far more into comedies and would direct the occasional pretty damn good kung fu movie with something like Kung Fu Cult starring Jet Li, Mr. Nice Guy with Jackie Chan, and returning to Jet Li with Once Upon a Time in China and America, a film I heavily enjoy. The late 90s saw the fall of Hong Kong cinema, and much of its stars sought fame in America. You, of course, had Chow Yun-fat in that one movie that I can't think of, The Replacement Killers? I think that's right. Jet Li did his thing in Lethal Weapon. God, I'm bad. I'm better with freaking Hong Kong movies than I am with American movies sometimes. It's so weird. And of course, he would take that and turn that into huge stardom in America. Jackie Chan, of course, with Rumble in the Bronx and Rush Hour, and Michelle Yeoh in a Bond movie. I think Tomorrow Never Dies. I think it was that one. I could be wrong. I'm not a Bond fan. But just like them, Sammo Hung also sought some success in America, and he found it on television. Some success, not a whole lot. His show got canceled, and that makes me sad. He did 2 seasons from 1999 to 2000 of a show called Martial Law, an action police procedural, also starring Louis Mandylor, Kelly Hu, and God, I'm blanking on his name, Arsenio Hall. My bad. This show was very 90s, very camp. I've got the box set, both seasons, including the crossover episode with Walker, Texas Ranger. It is a lot of fun to watch. It is a huge blast from the past, just 90s as hell, oozing out of your TV, like a Nickelodeon splat. Into the new millennium, Sammo Hung returned to Hong Kong, where he took supporting roles alongside younger talent, made a special appearance in Around the World in 80 Days with Jackie Chan, and finally he evolved into his final form in our 5th and final essential film, Sha Pro Long, Killzone.
如果正式拘捕你，又係你。今日係我仔滿月，唔好搞嘢。今日我伙計死件，我咪制佢。
SPL is directed by the excellent Wilson Yip and stars Donnie Yen, Sammo Hung, Simon Yam, Jing Wu, and many more. Killzone is about a group of police trying to take down a nefarious crime boss by any means necessary, even if that means making all the wrong decisions. This time, Sammo Hung plays the part he was born to play, the villain. And a very good villain at that. Yes, he was the villain way back in the day in the Shaolin plot, but he fits into the role of Wong Po comfortably. But it is in this role that, in my opinion, he finds his perfect place in modern kung fu cinema. In the late 70s, Sammo earned his spot as the leading man. For over 20 years, he played the hero. Over that time, new heroes earned their spot. They earned that spot. Sammo could either become the wise old master or the epic villain. And in taking that epic villain role, he enhanced the hero. Donnie Yen is Donnie frickin' Yen. He's going to be awesome no matter what, but when you become the guy, you get to take down the old guard, for lack of a better word. It makes your star shine so much brighter when you get to take down someone of that caliber. like Jackie Chan taking down Huang Ying-sik or James Tien, or Brock Lesnar taking down The Rock. Donnie Yen getting to come out on top of an incredible showdown with Sammo Hung is the passing the torch for the ages. Sammo evolved Kung Fu cinema. He took it from the Peking opera style, granted him and Jackie and Yuen and maybe a few others. They took the Peking opera style and slowly morphed it. They took what Bruce Lee was working to achieve before he passed away, and they evolved the Peking opera style into a modern kickboxing style. And then Donnie Yen took that ball and ran with it, slowly including with his beautiful wushu, including bits of mixed martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So seeing somebody who is taking what they did, what Bruce Lee started, they evolved, and then he could take that and run with something completely new, completely all his own, taking their work and evolving that, and beating Sammo Hung in the process it's just perfection. Through the 2000s, Sammo continued playing supporting roles, including a fantastic final fight in Triad Wars against Wu Jing. He would even show up in random places just to help choreograph a fight scene. Apparently, I believe it's rumored, I don't know if it's completely confirmed, the best fight scene arguably in Kung Fu Hustle, that entire scene was directed by Sammo Hung. In 2010, Sammo played an awesome part in Ip Man 2, which was originally on my list. When I said I was picking something either older or newer, my list did not start with Warriors 2, but it did end with Ip Man 2. I had to make a change. I felt maybe Warriors 2 deserved the spot over Ip Man 2. Ip Man 2 also, perhaps you could make an argument for, features Sammo's last absolutely exceptional fight scenes. Sammo co-starred in the action crime drama The Last Tycoon, and in 2016 returned to the director's chair for the first time since the late 90s in the action drama My Beloved Bodyguard. Or just The Bodyguard, if anybody wants to watch it. In 2022, Sammo turned 70 years old. And while he has definitely slowed down, he continues to make movies, with his most recent film coming out this very year. Sammo played an important role in Kung Fu cinema history. Those on the outside may not know his name, but as soon as you scratch through the surface, you instantly learn about Sammo Hung. I discovered Sammo through Jackie Chan with Project A, and just watching a handful of his films made it clear that his style was a defining part of my favorite era of Kung Fu cinema. Sammo was a stuntman and always put massive attention into the stunts. But when it came to Sammo, it is the fights that took center stage, when he wasn't being a complete goofball. He helped usher in both new waves of Hong Kong cinema with laughs, spectacle, and epic bouts that always sent the crowd home happy. He fought from being the director's assistant to one of the biggest stars in Hong Kong. He fought from the bottom of the industry to the very top of it, making his mark at every level, in every role he played, changing the industry for the better with every film. His influence on the genre is nearly unmatched, and we as fans appreciate every single bit of it. Several months ago, I made a video discussing Sammo Hung as the greatest of all time, and I did not make that video on hyperbole. I did not make that video to get clicks and views. I mean that Sammo Hung is the best. I do not care who you are in the Hong Kong film industry. I don't care if you are Chow Yun-fat, Jackie Chan, Yuen Wu-ping, Run Run Shaw, Raymond Chow, Lau Kar Lung. I do not care. Sammo Hung is the greatest of all time. But please tell me what you thought of this list of 5 essential films in the comment section down below. Which of them have you seen? Which of them do you think maybe does not deserve the spot? And which film would you say is definitely essential as a Sammo Hung fan? Tell me those things in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to Facebook, there is the Martial Arts Film Freak Facebook page, Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak, Tristan_Glover on the Twitter, and Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.